Welcome back to Chicken Reacts. I'm your host, The Chicken. Today's video, guys, we have... What are we looking at here? This is the top... this is catastrophic failures caught on camera. Say that 10 times fast. Let's get into it.
From a job site in Hong Kong that was short one excavator the next...
That looks like a nuclear reactor or something. Or I don't know. It's just a big giant hole.
Next day, and a string of electric buses that randomly burst into flames.
I think we saw that
a wild aluminum fire in Spain that sent two workers running for their lives. Here are 6 catastrophic failures that were caught on camera.
Slick intro, I like it. Number 6.
Ahmedabad is the 5th most populated city in India, with just over 6.3 million people, putting them on par with...
Never heard of it.
With Toronto and Madrid. In recent years, Ahmedabad has been undergoing major changes aimed at transforming and modernizing.
The houses look very cool. Lots of color to them. That's the commentary we're starting with.
The city. In order to accomplish this, many old buildings and structures had to be torn down to make way for new ones.
Come on, get
One
to the
of those
disasters.
structures was an old water tower in the Chandkita district. What should have been a pretty straightforward job,
I mean, it looks like it's already going to fall over.
quickly took a turn for the worst.
Where did you think it was going to go? You pulled it directly into the other building. Mm-hmm. That's what I just said. Why did you pull it that way?
Well, that didn't go according to plan. You can see a
it sure looked like it did.
Wire pulling on the
Went
tower.
directly where he pulled it
The
to.
gives way at the bottom, but ends up falling toward the house directly behind it. As the dust finally settles, we get a more clear shot of the damage to the ground level. Oddly enough, this was actually the 3rd water tower to accidentally fall on somebody's house in just one singular month in India.
Oh, come on. In 1 month?
In this instance, 11 people who were in the home
I think they need a new company in there.
by the company in charge of the demolition. According to the family who lived there,
He's like, okay, I know the first 2 we crushed a house, but the 3rd one, we got it for sure.
they just showed up one morning and told them to be out by the afternoon. Hopefully, they were compensated for the catastrophic destruction caused.
Jesus.
Baise is the westernmost city in Guangxi province, China, right on the northeastern border of Vietnam. It's home to 4.3 million people who rely heavily on public transportation to get around. But after May of 2021, there were 5 fewer buses to go around. It was about 6 a.m. Locals in Baise were preparing to start the day when 5 electric city buses caught fire. The scary part is that nobody knows how the fire started. CCTV cameras roll as smoke bellows from the first bus. Then, kaboom! It bursts into flames, sending a massive cloud of smoke into the sky. Sparks ignite the nearby dumpsters, and the fire quickly spreads to the
huge fire.
bus. After a few moments, the 3rd bus and 2 dumpsters full of trash go up in flames. The fire eventually spreads to the 4th bus before anyone arrives to put it out. Look at how gutted the first few buses are. Nobody knows what started the fire. Most believe it was something battery-related in the first bus.
Well, it's either that or a bomb, like it would have to be.
Thankfully, nobody was hurt. I wonder who's going to pay for all that damage.
Interesting. That was cool.
Ho Man Tin is a densely populated area in the Kowloon district of Hong Kong. As you can imagine, traffic gets backed up when you have 20,000 people living in 0.3 square miles.
Oh, I could imagine.
Hong Kong launched the Central Kowloon Route project to alleviate the pressure. It's a 3-lane, mostly underground highway running through the Kowloon Peninsula. The project began in 2017 and should be done by 2025. But on October 15th of 2020...
Oh, is this where the excavator falls in the big hole?
They had a little accident.
Oh my god.
Workers hoist an excavator out of a giant ventilation shaft when it
Okay, ventilation shaft, nuclear reactor, I was close.
They know they can't save it and run as far away as possible.
Holy shit,
the machine
dude.
finally comes loose and plummets into the abyss. Look at how the wires whip back and forth after all that tension lets loose. Work was suspended on the 42 billion Hong Kong dollar project while the highway department figured out what happened. Someone didn't rig it right, or the excavator was too heavy. Thankfully, nobody was standing down there when the machine came.
Good God.
We can't say for sure how
I
deep
hope
that
not.
shaft goes.
Imagine you just look it up, it's like, whew. But I guess 42 stories, you got a second to get out of the way at least.
Dos Hermanas is a Spanish city of
staying in
about
the same area.
131,000 people. Many locals
Dos
work in the
Hermanas.
Alu Europa aluminum factories, a series of 8 massive buildings and warehouses outside of town. Aluminum and other metals are very dangerous when they catch on fire. That's because water and most fire extinguishers only make things worse. 2 workers
I've heard of that, but I never understood why.
that lesson the hard way when an aluminum fire started out of nowhere. Our workers go about their business when something goes wrong in the back. Funny enough, it doesn't seem like the fire has anything to do with the guy holding
He knew right away. As soon as he saw a spark, he got right out of there.
the blowtorch. It quickly spreads, and the workers don't know what to do. One runs back to grab something before hightailing it out of the factory. That's when the sprinkler systems open a portal to hell. Seconds after they left
my
the
God.
room, the entire roof caved in, covering the factory floor with flaming tiles.
Holy
it took
shit,
the fire
dude.
department hours to quell the blaze. Thankfully, it didn't spread to the other buildings, and our 2 workers were okay. Metal fires burn at over 5,000 degrees.
That's wild.
That's hot enough to break water into its components, hydrogen and oxygen. On its own, hydrogen is a highly flammable and explosive gas. Meanwhile, oxygen breathes new life into the fire. In other words, pouring water on a metal fire is like pouring gasoline on a campfire.
It just blows up. That's interesting. The more you know.
On April 20th of 2010, the Gulf of Mexico experienced the worst...
This looks like an oil rig. The quality is so terrible.
marine oil spill in history. Deepwater Horizon, also known as the BP oil spill, was one of the worst environmental disasters.
Yeah, I guess so.
An estimated 134 million gallons of oil spilled
They need
into
more
the Gulf of Mexico,
fire boats.
causing untold ecological damage. The incident began around 10 p.m. on April 20th, when an explosion on the Deepwater Horizon drilling rig claimed 11 lives. The Coast Guard notified NOAA around 2:30 a.m.
That's crazy.
By then, the damage was already ramping up. 2 days later, the Deepwater Horizon rig sank about 5,000 feet to the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico.
That's amazing
Oil
how that's even
spilled from
possible.
the site for 87 days before they finally capped it on July 15th of 2010. By then,
Jesus.
3.19 million barrels of oil, or about 134 million gallons,
No! All the precious oil. So much money
had
going into the
polluted
stupid
the Gulf
ocean.
of Mexico. According to NOAA, oil rose from a wellhead on the seafloor through more than 5,000 vertical feet of water. It covered
crazy.
1,300 miles of shoreline across 5 states in thick black sludge. Between
You can
land
see
and
it.
sea, the oil slick covered 43,300 square miles, an area
Jesus.
about the size of Virginia. In 2016, BP was found responsible for the Deepwater Horizon disaster. They were forced to pay over $20 billion in fines, most of which went toward restoring the Gulf Coast. In the end, no amount of money can ever repair the damage caused by all that oil. You remember the heartbreaking pictures of birds, fish, and other animals covered in black goop, don't you?
Number 1. It's been a pretty good list so far, I gotta say. These ones have been pretty interesting. I like the last one. Well, I don't like it, but you know what I mean. That was pretty
In the
crazy.
Israeli city of Rishon LeZion, about 5 miles south of Tel Aviv, a demolition crew arrived to remove an old bridge. They drove 3 pieces of heavy equipment into the middle to start tearing the thing apart. Somebody must have miscalculated, because what happened next is not how you...
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna take a wild guess here. That the bridge collapses in the middle and the machine goes through.
dismantle a bridge. The excavators weaken the center, which causes the section they're on to come loose. The
Holy
entire
shit,
thing
dude.
crashes down, dragging the heavy machinery with it.
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
those cartoons where someone saws off the branch they're sitting on.
What were they
Local
thinking?
authorities arrived and detained the site manager. They probably had a few questions for him along the lines of,
Yeah.
how does this even happen? According to the Times of Israel, our 2 drivers suffered minor injuries during the crash.
Wow.
Apparently, accidents like this aren't uncommon due to poorly enforced safety codes. If you enjoyed this video and want to see...
I don't know about that one. That was kind of... That seems stupid. I don't know much about bridge demolition, I guess, but it seems dumb to... you know, it's like those memes you see, kind of like the guy said, where it's like the guy's like sawing off the branch that's like right in front of him or behind him or whatever. But definitely an interesting one. Interesting batch of videos today. You guys let me know in the comments. Do you like these ones with the voice more, or just like the general fail ones? I find the fail ones are sometimes more fun to watch, but these are cool to mix it up. And those were some good ones. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. We'll see you in the next one. Chicken is out. Back.